Hello, Lensmates, and welcome. Have you ever tried to win an argument, sell an idea, or even just agree on where to go for dinner? If you have, then you've practiced the art of persuasion. It's this really fundamental human skill we use all the time, a lot of times without even realizing it. So today, we're going to break down exactly how it works. And this really is the core question, isn't it? That line between influence and, manipulation can feel a little blurry sometimes. But as we're about to discover, true, effective persuasion, it's not really about deception. It's much more about building bridges of understanding. So let's start right at the beginning. Our journey kicks off, as so many do, way back in ancient Greece with a guy you might have heard of, Aristotle. He gave us these 3 pillars of persuasion that have amazingly stood the test of time. They're just as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago.
So first up is ethos. This is all about credibility. Think about it. Why do you trust a doctor's medical advice or a mechanic's opinion on your car? It's not just what they say, right? It's who they are. They've established their expertise and their character, and that just makes us automatically more open to whatever their message is.
Next, we have pathos, which is the appeal to emotion. This is exactly why a powerful story about a single rescued puppy can raise so much more for shelter than just a cold spreadsheet full of statistics. See, Aristotle knew that we don't just think with our heads. Our hearts are deeply involved in guiding our judgments, and they can completely shift our perspective.
And of course, rounding out the trio is logos, the appeal to logic. This is the show me the data part of any argument. So when a company can prove its product is, say, 50% more efficient using clear evidence and studies, they're using logos. They're speaking directly to our rational, analytical minds.
This corrects a huge misunderstanding. We often think of persuasion as some kind of battle, a debate where one person has to win. But for Aristotle, it was never about coercion or forcing someone to agree. He saw it as a cooperative act, a way for a speaker and an audience to actually create meaning together by blending that perfect mix of logic, emotion, and trust.
Okay, so let's jump forward a couple of millennia. Modern psychology has built on these incredible classical ideas by uncovering the mental shortcuts or heuristics that our brains use. These shortcuts really help explain why those ancient appeals still work so well on us today.
The first principle, which comes from decades of research by Dr. Robert Cialdini, is reciprocity. This is a really powerful, universal shortcut our brains use. We all have this deep-seated social obligation to repay a gift or a favor, and it has this incredibly strong influence on our willingness to say yes.
So, get this. In one study, giving a diner a single mint increased tips by about 3%. 2 mints? That jumped to a 14% increase. But when the waiter gave 1 mint, started to walk away, and then turned back to offer another one as if it was a special personal gesture, tips shot up by 23%. It shows the key isn't just what you give, but how you give it. Okay, next up is consistency. We humans have this almost obsessive desire to be and to appear consistent with what we've already said or done. So once we make even a small initial commitment, we feel this powerful psychological pull to honor larger requests that are consistent with that very first step.
A classic study shows just how powerful this is. Researchers asked homeowners to put a big, pretty ugly "Drive Safely" sign on their front lawn. And not surprisingly, most people said no. But in a different neighborhood, agreement shot up by 400%. The only difference? Weeks earlier, those residents had agreed to a tiny request, putting a small postcard with the same message in their window. That first little yes created a commitment they felt compelled to honor later on.
And Cialdini identified several other mental shortcuts. For instance, we're drawn to things that are scarce. Just think of any limited time offer. We're also more easily persuaded by people we like. We look to others for guidance when we're unsure. That's called social proof. And notice how authority brings us right back where we started, connecting directly to Aristotle's foundational concept of ethos. It all ties together. So now that we have our toolkit for ethical persuasion, lensmates, it's really crucial to learn how to spot when these tools are being misused. This is where we get into what are called logical fallacies, arguments that might seem persuasive on the surface, but are actually built on faulty, broken reasoning. First is the straw man fallacy. So imagine someone says, "I think we should invest more in public transit." A straw man response would be something like, "So you want to ban all cars and force everyone onto buses?" You see, it completely misrepresents the original point and creates a much easier, flimsier argument to attack, while totally avoiding the real discussion. Next is the ad hominem, which is Latin for "to the person." This is what happens when you just ignore the argument and instead attack the person who's making it, like saying, "Well, you can't trust her climate change proposal because she once flew on a private jet." That's attacking her character, not the actual merits of her plan. The black or white fallacy is a really common trap. It's a tactic that tries to force a choice by presenting only two extreme options as the only possibilities. It completely ignores all the nuance and the shades of gray that almost always exist in any complex situation. And finally, there's the manipulative appeal to emotion. Now, this is really different from authentic pathos. In this case, emotion is used to cloud your judgment and completely replace a logical argument. So the crucial thing to watch for is any argument that relies only on tugging at your heartstrings without providing any compelling evidence or sound reasoning to back it up.
So, after all this, what is the ultimate purpose of mastering this art? Why does understanding persuasion actually matter so much? Well, the answer might not be what you think. This quote really shifts our whole perspective, doesn't it? It moves us away from thinking of persuasion as some kind of battle that needs to be won, and towards seeing it as a collaborative process, a process of discovery. It's not about imposing your view on someone, but about creating meaning together. And this, right here, is the final, crucial takeaway. The real goal isn't coercion, it's communication. The true art of persuasion isn't really about winning an argument at all. It's about finding common ground, transforming a potential conflict into a real connection, and building a shared understanding. So that's the question to carry with you. The next time you're trying to persuade someone, ask yourself, am I building a wall or am I building a bridge? Thank you for joining me on this exploration, Lensmates.